Go.
Hello, it's Wednesday, and I just want to say welcome to the very first of my very simple, straightforward embroidery classes to get you going and give you some ideas for making your quilt square. What I'm going to talk to you today about is Kantha Embroidery. But before I go ahead with that, just a few things that you will need for this class. So you can get these online. You can get them from Amazon, or you can get them from eBay, or any other online craft retailer will usually have them. They're called embroidery hoops. They come in wood or plastic. This one is a 6-inch craft hoop, and that's probably about a decent size to have. They're about £1.30, so they're nice and cheap. So they're not essential, but they do make life easier. The other thing you will need is some just basic cotton. You can buy these from Tesco. You should have some in your house somewhere, or again you can buy these online. If you want something a bit more exciting, this is what's known as embroidery thread, and you can buy it in silk or cotton. It doesn't really matter which you have. The main manufacturers are DMC or Anchor. This is just a very cheap generic brand, and again you can buy them from Amazon or eBay, or any online craft shop, and they're about £1.10, £1.50 for a skein like that. They come in an assortment of colours. You might want to choose a few that you like. You will need a needle. You'll need a little pair of scissors, and these are really handy. You can buy these from Amazon. Tesco also stock them, and they're called Friction gel erasable markers. They're made by Pilot, and they're great because once you've drawn on them, if you want to draw a design or mark anything out, when you've finished, if you run a hot iron over it, it will immediately erase what you've drawn. So it's great for drawing a pattern that you're going to sew over, and then you want that pattern to disappear. They're about £7 for a pack of 4 or 5. You can use a pencil. It's not life or death. The other thing that you will need is some fabric. Now for your finished square, you need a piece of material that is about 11 inches square. So it's about the size of your head. If you have a fabric stash already, that's fine. If not, this is old sheeting material. You can use old tablecloths, duvets. You can use a shirt, any fabric that you like. Okay, so a little bit about, so you've got all your equipment together. I'm going to teach you a little bit today about Kantha embroidery, and it's probably one of the oldest types of embroidery there is, and it goes way back to before the Bible. It goes back to the times of the old Vedic scriptures, and it comes from Bangladesh. And it has its roots in Hindu and Islamic history. And basically, Kantha is a Sanskrit word, and it means rags. So Kantha quilts would have been made from old saris worn by the women in the household that were threadbare and of no longer of use, and the fabric would have been layered on top of each other to form a thicker material, and obviously to cover any holes. And then those layers of fabric would have been stitched with very, very tiny running stitches to form pictures. And some of the pictures that were very common to Kantha embroidery would be things like the lotus flower, the tree of life, things that resembled or signified the infinity of the universe. In modern day, we're more familiar with the lotus flower as a mandala. So if you've got any of those mindful colouring books that have mandala prints on, these are absolutely fantastic to use. And if you rip a page, if you're not very good at copying, you can rip a page out, and if you hold it up against the window and then put your fabric over the top, it will create like a light box effect. You can tape it with some sellotape and you'll be able to see through and trace the pattern. Or alternatively, you can get the children to do it. So the Kantha quilts, would have been given for weddings as wedding gifts, and they'd be given on the birth of a child, and they'd be also used in burial ceremonies as well. And the pictures that were embroidered on them would resemble, or there'd be storytelling about that person's life. So if it was a wedding gift, it would have stories embroidered onto it about who the bride was, who the groom was, who their parents were. So very much like the Suicide Memorial Quilt is going to be storytelling about the life of the person that you've lost, the Kantha quilts would have been storytelling about those lives that were chosen to be depicted on them. I've got an example here of some of the motifs and what Kantha embroidery looks like, and I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's a very simple, almost childlike image, and it's filled in with lots and lots of tiny running stitch. So here are some I've made earlier. You don't need to be a great artist. So if you can see, that is just a very simple heart in a box, and I have stitched that with just very common or garden sewing cotton. There's another one here. That's been done with embroidery threads, and it's based on a very simple mandala design. Okay. So all you need to do, and this is something that you can really get the children involved with. You get a piece of material and you get your pen or pencil, and we're going to draw a very simple design. You do not need to be an artist for this. So I'm going to start with I'm using my gel pen here, and I'm just going to very simply draw a circle in the middle of my piece of material, and you can do whatever you like here. So I've got a smaller circle I'm going to draw in the middle, and then I'm just going to fill it in with some shapes. And you know what these pictures look like in the adult colouring books. They're just really doodling, and you can just make up your own design. And as I say, if the children are now bored and they're fed up with doing online schooling and they're bickering, rather than you do this, you can get the children to do it for you, or get the children involved in doing their own as well. So I'm just building this up. The beauty of these pens, if you don't like it, you can just iron it and it'll disappear. You could use a pencil as well for this as well. So you keep building and building on that. And here's one I made earlier. So if you can see that, I filled that in as much as I want. And then I get my embroidery hoop. And I fit the smaller one underneath and the larger one on top. Don't worry if it doesn't cover your entire design, you can move the hoop about. I'm just going to start with the middle. Keep that nice and tight, it should be like a drum. Yep. And then you get your cotton, and you can use cotton, you can use, let me choose something nice and bright that you can see. So I'll choose a piece of cotton. The trick when you're sewing anything is never take too long a piece of cotton, because what will happen is it will get all knotted up and you'll end up having to unpick it all. Always take a piece of cotton that's roughly from your fingertips to your elbow, and that should be perfectly sufficient. With embroidery, the easiest way to start, thread your needle, and then at the end just tie a little knot. A little double knot so that it won't come, your cotton won't pull through your fabric. And then all you're going to do for the Kantha work is cover your design in running stitch. So if you can see this here, you pull it through and they are just tiny little running stitches. I don't know if you can see this, all along here. And this is something really nice and mindful. It's just like colour, think of it as colouring in with a needle and cotton. You don't need any sewing skill, you don't need any artistic skills whatsoever. You can do this while you're watching TV. You can do it in the garden if the sun keeps shining, as it is today. And just keep going till you've gone all the way around. And when you've gone all the way around, you can start filling it in. And if you want to, you can fill it in whatever pattern you want. You can go in concentric circles, or you can go in little lines across. It's entirely up to you. I'll show you some pictures here from the book of some ideas. So here, as you can see, in this image, they've been used to be like wheel spokes, or you can fill it in triangles, or you can fill it in stripes or concentric circles, however you want. Okay. And when you've finished, as you can see in my mandala, I have filled it in with concentric circles. I've outlined in one colour and I've filled in a variety of other colours. So that essentially is Kantha Embroidery. It's nice and easy. It's a nice place to start if you've never done any embroidery or sewing work before. You can have a go at drawing your own patterns. You don't have to stick to circles. You can draw people, faces, animals, hearts, flowers, whatever you like. Don't be restricted by what I've said to you today. Go online, have a look at Kantha Emroidery. Find some information about there. When you've started, share some of the pictures of what you're making in the Facebook group. Get the children involved, maybe get them to do their own, either in fabric or colour them in with some pens or paints. Do whatever you want. The only thing that's restricting you is your own imagination. So have fun, and I'll see you in a few days when I'll post something else. Thanks very much for watching, and look forward to speaking to you soon on Facebook. Bye bye now.